Megan ordered a small dish of linguine and a water with lemon. Edric's budget fears dissipated. He gently tightened his hand around hers. He didn't know if she had ordered what she wanted, or if she chose something cheap on purpose. He couldn't bring himself to ask her either. One way or another, he appreciated it. Megan brought her free hand to her hair and brushed it back behind her ear. Then she placed it on top of his hand, so that her hands were both above and below his. Edric said nothing. It wasn't the first time they had held hands. This just felt more natural, not like they were performing or trying to hide from their classmates. He was still in awe that she was here with him. His luck couldn't possibly hold out, he thought. They sat in silence for a while, basking in the attention. Other patrons would glance and smile at them. People walked by and would not go too far before commenting, "How adorable!" or "They are so cute." Megan listened intently for each comment while Edric studied her face. They were so preoccupied that they never noticed the people leering at them from afar.
"You see them?"
Chris asked, pointing through the small planter that shielded their table from view. "Yes," Frank said, extending the length of the Y to match his disdain. They had been watching them ever since Megan had arrived. Brett stood up to get a better view, and Frank pulled at him. "Stop touching me," he complained. "Do you want them to see us?" Frank asked, as if he were talking to a 5-year-old. Brett shoved Chris and took his seat. "What? He takes your spot on the team, so you take mine?" Chris jabbed. Brett gave him the death stare, and he feigned an apology. "Sorry." Look at him trying to pretend he can afford her," Frank bleated.
"Maybe she's cheaper than she looks,"
Chris observed. This time it was Frank's turn to threaten with his eyes. Chris shrugged his shoulders, but kept his comments to himself for a while. They watched with the intensity of hawks as the two ate and flirted. What Chris had thought was blind rage before paled in comparison to the incensed hate that the two exuded now. What was once a vocal expression of disdain had become a silent seething and loathing that Chris had never encountered before. They watched as the two left the eatery and headed for the design-your-own virtual reality coaster. Now was his chance. Chris decided that his chances at retreat were quickly dissipating, so he got up to leave. Brett's fists were still clenched, and Frank's hand rested gently on his shoulder, as if to calm the savage beast.
"Fame is fleeting,"
Chris observed as he took a big step back from the table.
"Relax. His won't last forever either."
With that, Chris made a beeline for the exit. "I'm gonna kill that kid!" Brett swore and pounded the table with his fist. Drinks and food leaped from the table like a game of trouble. When they returned to Earth, liquid merged with solids to create a colossal mess. "Come on!" Frank exclaimed. "Seriously, man, what good did that do?" "Made me feel better," Brett brooded. He moved the stack of napkins to wipe up the flow of liquid heading towards his side of the table. Frank got up and moved 2 tables away. Brett looked quizzically at him a moment, and then seemed to realize that would solve the mess well enough for him. When he joined Frank, Brett noticed a crafty smile on his face. "What?" Frank did not respond. He waved his hand, telling Brett to be quiet. Reluctantly, Brett waited. "I have an idea," Frank finally revealed. Brett leaned forward in his chair and asked, "Are we going to screw him up?" "Whatever it is, I'm in." Frank shook his head and grinned widely. "No," he replied. "We are going to absolutely ruin him."